Hello again, time for a new video, and today it's something pretty cool. It is the numeric shifter and cables. You can see everything that's in the box here. We have the cables, extra sound deadening, the wrench, caps, and then we have the shifter assembly and the actual shifter here, which I'm gonna put in the middle hole here, because that seems to be a good length for everything. I think that should be about the same length as the normal short shifter kits. I'll just begin by preparing the shifter assembly. So it's a Torx. Okay, shifter is in place, and there's absolutely no play at all here, so it's gonna be pretty cool to test this in the car. And you have the cables here, and they can't really be mounted wrong because they're marked with shifter and transmission, and this piece here will only fit the one side on the transmission. My biggest fear with buying this complete set is that these will be too noisy. But I'll test now and see, because I really like that they eliminate a lot of the problems with the cable, and they should be a lot both stronger and more accurate. So I've already cut the sound deadening here as suggested by Numeric, where you kind of cut it around, so then they will stay on without zip ties and everything. So now I'll just do the same on the other side here. The Numeric said that for 1 foot I should go 1 round basically, so that should be enough to stay on. Second part's done. Now let's go in the car. We start with the front here, where you just lift up the rear. Then you can see there's a small Torx in the front. Then you open this, lift it out, and it reveals 2 more Torx. One size bigger. And then there's 1 Torx underneath here too. Then you just unplug these. The light just pulls out, and these. Then it's the center or armrest, and there is a screw hidden underneath here. And then another screw here. We can take away this side panel here. You can just take a screwdriver, flathead, and push it in at this slot here. When you get the coin holder off, there is 1 last screw here in the underneath it. Then you should be able to just lift the whole center console out. There's a locking wire for the compartment here. So as you can see, I have made this hopefully a lot easier for myself, because I'm in the process of painting the seat backs of my seats and also the center console in the car's color. So that makes it a lot easier to have room to do everything here. And then I think I'm actually gonna take pictures and measure the angle of the original shifter to make sure I have to make sure it looks and feels right when I put on the numeric, so I have something to compared to the shifter that's in the car now. It's actually upgraded. It's a 997 short shifter. Honestly, it feels pretty good, but there is more play that I would want. As you can see here, the cables, I think the main problem is actually the cables, but it just feels flimsy. And you can see here, the main problem why I'm doing this was that I needed to buy new cables, because first of all, they had popped up in the rear, and second of all, this clip here is broken. So whenever I would go to second to third, then this plastic piece here that holds it together just pops off. And this is problems that you will never ever have again with the numeric set, because everything is, well, nothing is plastic first of all, so nothing can break in the same way as it does here with plastic pieces. So hopefully this will be a huge improvement. I installed a angle meter app. Not sure how accurate it is, but probably accurate enough. So then we got everything measured, and it's time to start taking this apart. We start with moving this plate here, which is just clipped into place. Then I see another problem here. This clip holding the one cable is actually popped off. So a lot of reasons why this system is not the best, and a lot of reasons why this gear shift has felt as bad as it has apparently. Take off these two clips. And you squeeze each side of the cable, and then they become loose. To get these cables off the shifter, you have to push forward, and then you can just pull the cable up, and then it releases. Then there is 4 bolts, 10 millimeters, that hold the shifter on. Then we have the old shifter out. We have to get the handbrake out of the way. The bolts are 13 millimeter, and one on each corner. You have to use a wrench like this to get the one on the side here. There's some small cables here that are just clipped on that you want to remove too. And we're ready to take the cables out. I'm just gonna start now by spraying some WD-40 here to lubricate the whole rubber piece here, so it's gonna be easier to get it out. And then vacuum. To get out this rubber piece here, I heard that it's best to push the bottom part out, but there's a tab here on the top. So you first need to get the tab underneath before you can push the bottom out. And I think this is just gonna pierce through the whole rubber piece. The rubber piece is loose, at least inside here. The tab is down. I'm really not looking forward to how the heck I'm gonna get this through again from the other side, but now at least we're pretty much halfway. So now we have to go underneath the car and finish the rest there. So I put the car on quick shacks and I took off the middle and rear protection plate. It's 10 plastic nuts on that one, and 5 or something, and a couple of ones on that one. It's easy to see, so I didn't show it. Then I also took off this brace, which is held by 4 nuts, 2 bolts, which is here in front of the gearbox mount. So when I took that away, you can actually see straight up to the rubber grommet that is holding the cables. So then I just need to cut the cable ties here that I made to hold the cables in place. They have worked pretty brilliantly actually, but now I won't be needing them anymore since the new numeric ones have bolts holding it in place. So now I just need to get the actual cables off the gearbox lever here. Alright, that was easy enough. I'm just using a chisel. Alright. Now both cables are loose. I just need to cut my little wires. You can kind of see what I'm doing here. The grommet here. You can see the hole into the car up here. It's fairly easy to reach all the way actually. So I'm just gonna go inside the car and make sure nothing gets stuck there. Things are definitely getting stuck here. So it's kind of hard to get them both through here. Okay, I'm gonna try and pull on this one first. Yeah, as you can see, there were 2 gear cables here and one other one that I don't know exactly what it is. I was kind of concerned about how to get this or what to do with it, but the rubber grommet was already cut on the side, so it just slid out when I was pulling, which made it a lot easier than I was fearing. The cables are out and we're halfway done. Well, hopefully, I think getting the cables in will be a lot more difficult than getting them out. Here I have the old cables out, and comparing to the new ones, they seem so much more sturdy and better. But I am noticing some differences here, and that's that the sound absorber on these ones are basically just pure rubber. There's no air in them or anything, which makes me think that they will transport vibrations because it's so dense, while the ones that are on the original cables have tons of air pockets in them. So even if you touch the outside of it, it's just a tiny bit of rubber that goes in between, which makes me think that these actually might be better than the ones that came with the numeric cables. And it's the same with the front one here. So I might try to move these over if possible. I guess it might be difficult, but we'll see. But either way, I have to cut these so I can transfer that one to here, so I can block off the interior to the exterior, and also I need to cut these at the right place so I can fit it. As you can see, the cables or this grommet is already cut on the side here, so you can slide it into the other one. So I'm just gonna cut it exactly the same on the other side and also underneath for the middle cable. So then it should be easy to clip it on these ones. So the cables are all set now. I don't think I'm gonna try and get on the OEM ones because they don't really fit that well because the cables these are thicker, and this shouldn't be too difficult to change out if this does not work well. But I'm gonna see if this actually do the job first. So now I'm just gonna soak this in WD-40 to make it easier to get through the car, and yeah. So we are most of the way done with the cables here. Got everything through except the infamous rubber thing that's causing problems. So I'm just gonna try and soak it as much as possible with WD-40. And then push from the outside. So I actually managed to get it through. I'll show you here. You can see the rubber is in the hole, and I can kind of put one arm on each side here and push, but that was pretty difficult. So what I actually ended up using is just an extension that just fitted perfectly in here. And I could kind of push on the rubber thing with tons of WD-40, and then it slid through eventually. I actually did it. I found one other video of a person doing this on a turbo on YouTube, and he gave up, so I feel pretty proud that I actually managed to get everything through here. Alright, now that the cables are through, I'm gonna lock the cables in place. I used this wrench that came with the kit. And then counter with a 14mm. Okay. It's not gonna go anywhere. And then you do the same with the top one, obviously. Top tip might be the top one first, because there isn't that much room. Now that these are actually properly locked in place, I think I'm going to just take a zip tie through it, just to make 100% sure that they won't go anywhere. They're more locked than they've ever been with the original cables, but the zip tie is kind of like a backup. And then we're gonna adjust the cables. I've seen the video from Numeric about how to do it. What you want to achieve here is that the bottom lever here has 3 positions. So you want to take it the furthest position to the left, and then make sure that the cable clears it and goes past. That's what they said. So I think I saw in another video that they want it to kind of touch barely at the end closest to the front of the car, basically. So now it just does that. So then, and then of course go all the way forward, push the cable forward, and make sure the cable goes. Okay, that should be perfect. Then I'll just snap one of these caps on the lever. and then push on the cable here. And then you have to tighten the lock nut, which is a 10mm. So to adjust the top one, you obviously have to put the car in neutral, which is the middle one, and then this will go forward, middle, which is neutral, and rear. And to get it all the way to the rear, you have to move it with some force. Okay. So it's basically I have to pull it as far in as it goes. Same here, put on the cap and the cable. Alright, then the cables are all done, installed underneath the car. Then it's time to mount the shifter. A subscriber actually just commented that it's smart to put Loctite on this bolt here because it can get loose if you don't. So very practical that he let me know about that. And then tighten to 10 Newton meters. Then we just attach the cables here, 14mm on the cable side, and then just tighten it down. When the cables are secure, we have to attach the ends to the gear shifter. This Torx on the reverse cable. Actually will put a tiny bit of Loctite on this one too, just to be sure. And we put the last cap on the shifter and puts it on the forward cable. That feels pretty insane. Difference is ridiculous. Okay, then I will just geek out a little bit and measure the angle to make sure the angle is the same as it was when I had the OEM 997 short shift, because I want it to feel as original as possible. So I'm gonna compare the shifter now. I'm gonna put it in first gear. So the old one moved 8.8 degrees, this new one moves 3.5 degrees. So now I'm just gonna adjust the angle of the actual lever. I saw that the old one was 7 degrees tilting forward. And I have to use two 10mm wrenches to attach it. Then I do the same to the side. And the side was 5.5 degrees. Then the shifter is actually completely installed, so now I just need to put everything back together. Okay, I'm gonna be very happy about the shifter on this, so I just hope the noise isn't gonna be too ridiculously bad, because the shifts feel insanely good. And we start with a handbrake. Parking brake console. is 23 Newton meters. Last one I can't use a torque wrench on because it's underneath the actual gear lever, so I'll just do that by feel. And we put in this parking brake cable again. And then everything is ready for the center console to be put back on. Okay, so if you move the lever to 5th gear, then you can kind of wiggle it in somehow. It's pretty difficult. Okay, that was more stressful than I thought to fit. It's now maybe 3 weeks since I installed the numeric shifter and cables and painted the interior, and I've been using the car as much as I can when the weather's nice and stuff. The first time I got in the car and started driving after installing the shifter and cables, I had the windows open like now, and I was like, I can't hear a thing. This is amazing. There's no sound difference at all, and the feel of the shifter is insanely good. It's so precise and nice. But then I closed the windows, and it is a bit of a difference. When you work the gearbox, you can hear quite a lot of excess sound. It's not more noisy, it's just more sound, and you can hear what's going on in the gearbox, and you hear what happens basically. When you just drive wrong and accelerate or decelerate, it almost sounds like a supercharger. But the nice thing is, as soon as you get to the gear you want and you just cruise, it is completely silent again. So when you kind of think it's fun to hear what's going on, and when you drive active, you can hear a little bit more sounds, but when you cruise, it's not any more noisy than it was before. Which is just what I was after. And I do feel that the new gearbox mount also took away some of the noise. So I think this is kind of the perfect compromise between feel and excess noise. So to sum it up, the quality and the feel of the shifter and cables are just exceptionally good. They feel so much more sturdy and strong and solid than the OEM, both shifter assembly and cables. They look great, everything fits absolutely perfectly, and I think it's definitely worth it when it comes to how much more precision you get when you use the shifter, and the excess noise is not, at least in my case, too much that I don't think it's worth it. You hear a little more sounds, but the noise is not higher, and when you just cruise and want it to be quiet, then you can't really hear anything more than you did before. So, absolutely love the upgrade. Definitely one of the best things I've done to the car, and hope this helps. Like, subscribe, hope to see you later. Bye.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.